Welcome from Thundery, Melbourne, to the Pommy and Fazz football show on a Friday. Good day to everyone. I've got the big Fazz man with me. How are you doing, Fazz?
I'm very good and very happy to be here with my number one go-to man for dad advice, Pom. It's so good to be here on a lovely Friday night, and really, it's the number one day of the week because it's the end of the week, but also because of the show that we got on. So happy days.
Mate, it's good, isn't it? It's a Friday, and Michael's joined us. Good day to you, Michael. Obviously, we've had a manic week. Just before we started the show, the legend that is Stevie Gerrard was tin-tapped. We'll get into that a bit later. But initial thoughts, chat, and you, Fazz. Stevie G, he's gone.
Look, the writing was on the wall. I think the writing was on the wall late last season. They haven't really set the world on fire. Signings haven't been overly impressive. Whether he was backed or not is a question to be asked. But he was really never going to survive, unfortunately for him. But now he'll look at a new chapter, and he won't be short of options. I mean, there'll be half a dozen clubs who'll sack their managers before Christmas, so he won't be short of options. And to me, it was no surprise. It was no surprise.
Well, I mean, initially, the bookies' favourites are actually his ex-assistant, Michael Beale at QPR, which I thought was interesting. And few names there. Sean Dice. Probably the most bizarre one, right, is Pochettino and Tuchel.
Yeah, all right. Aston Villa, just, get back in your lane. You're more likely to get Sam Allardyce than you are Pochettino.
Absolute bizarre, but we'll get on to Villa in a bit, and it won't take long. Well, let's have a look at what we've missed this week.
Do you want to feel how it feels?
Well, it was a double game week. We'll have a look at Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal's game was postponed, their second game, because Arsenal didn't want to play because of the fixture congestion, but they did get the 1-0 win, as we predicted. It wasn't quite one-sided, but a very resilient Leeds in that game, weren't they? They were very tough to put away after the early goal.
Yeah, and I think it was something that we haven't seen from Leeds in the past. Obviously, they lost the game, but it sounds bizarre, but they actually impressed me more in that game than what they have previously. I know that sounds a bit weird, but defensively, they've been horrendous, and we'll get to their game obviously this morning. But defensively, they've been horrendous, and I thought they actually showed a bit against Arsenal. They're a very strong Arsenal team. But again, look, thinking of Arsenal, they just did the job. They got what they needed to get out of the game. The 3 points, walked away from it, and it won't be a game they'll revisit much, I wouldn't have thought. But hey, when you're on top of the table, that's all you need to do.
I'd love to know what chat's thoughts are, but I've got a feeling that that game got me thinking Arsenal are the real deal, because they did that the hard way. I haven't seen a side since City and prime Barcelona that literally put pressure on the ball like Leeds did. And the fact that Arsenal got out of it, they had some injury concerns as well. They worked. That was a very workmanlike performance. And they're the kind of things, like Michael's saying here, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? The classic song. That was vintage Arsenal. Tough to break down as well. And sometimes you've got to have them smash and grabs. Do you know what I mean? And it's opening up.
For those of us with a bit of Arsenal PTSD, being a West Ham supporter, it was frightening. I think it was frightening because they did it. They did it dirty, and I think that's what the good teams do. And like I said, they won't revisit the game come end of the season, but it's a 3 points, valuable 3 points, especially with City dropping points. And dare I say it, 11 games in, could it be Arsenal's to lose?
I think they're going to be tough to beat. I think, as you see, I think they'll get confidence every week. Do you know what I mean? I think they'll get confidence every week, and I think that's going to hold them into good stead. And I think with the fixture congestion, the fact they don't play City after City have recently lost is a huge, huge, huge dub. Huge dub for them. But we go on to Villa, the team that sacked Stevie G this morning, and probably no surprise. I thought the Chelsea game was was a little bit sad. I can't really blame him, but this morning the writing was on the wall. Fulham ran them ragged, and I think that's sending off as well. Douglas Luiz, that was a man that's lost the playing group. That was a reckless choice, and he looked to sack coach from half time.
He really did. I watched that game this morning, and I called it straight away. I'm like, he won't see 24 hours, and he didn't see 4 hours, I think it was. So yeah, look, like I said, the writing was on the wall. It's just been sad, their season thus far. To me, I think the writing was really on the wall with the 1-1 draw against Forest. I think that's when I really thought, okay, he's in big trouble. And then, yeah, this morning, I mean, the coffin was already sealed. This morning kind of just pushed it in the right direction. And yeah.
It's no surprise. I mean, the rumours were going out. He was photographed. I don't know if those who saw it, but he was photographed midweek in a training session, pissed up. And the rumours were he was saying he was gone this weekend. So I don't know how true that is, but who do we think will coach him next? I think Dicey is probably the perfect person for them till the end of the year and reassess end of the year should you stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I've always thought Sean Dyche is a bit of an underrated manager. I mean, I know he doesn't play pretty football, but geez, he did a wonderful job with Burnley when he was there, and obviously they got relegated, which was sad to see for them. But I think he's an underrated manager. I think he'll go there and can do a similar job to what, like what a Moyes did for West Ham, and because they're not in a position where they should be panicking about getting relegated. I think there's a lot of worse teams than them. So getting a manager in there can say, okay, let's steady the ship, get to Christmas, get to January, and really target that 12th to 13th on the table, and just go from there. And yes, he is a defensive manager, but to be honest, when you're shipping 3 against Fulham, you probably need a defensive manager, to be honest.
I think he'd be perfect. I'm not a fan of long-term replacements now.
No.
I think if I'm looking at Villa and I was a Villa fan, which I'm not, I'd be thinking I'm 17th. We're sliding down to the wrong end of the table. What's going to keep you above Wolves, the teams below you, particularly Wolves, Leicester and Forest, is not conceding. If you can draw them Fulham games away at worst, you're in this Premier League. And then next year, new transfer window, new backing of being in the Premier League, then get a new coach. Just sign him on an interim deal till June, and then maybe get a new aggressive coach.
Clean sheets, clean sheets, clean sheets. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but take it from me, who's been involved in more relegation scraps than I've had hot dinners. Clean sheets is what gets you out of a relegation scrap. 0-0 draws, 1-0 wins. That's what gets you out of a scrap. Not scoring goals, not banging on 3 or 4. It's getting that one goal and holding on to the lead. The Sam Allardyce special, the Sean Dyche special. He's exactly what they need. Because, we spoke about Leeds last week. They're bang in trouble because they simply cannot stop conceding. And you're never going to survive in the Premier League if you concede goals. You're never going to survive.
Mate, spot on. I think he's the favourite for the job. And one team that has changed their manager and one team that is really setting the benchmark of being a side to stay in the Premier League is Bournemouth and Brentford, who had 2 polar opposite results this week. Bournemouth, obviously, 2-2 with Fulham. They lost to Southampton, which probably was a surprise, and that was a 6-pointer. But also, and Brentford getting that draw with Chelsea after the Brighton win. Vibes are high at Brentford, aren't they? And it's that winning run coming to an end for Bournemouth as well.
I'm loving what Brentford are doing. They're just, showing they've got another gear to go. That win against Brighton was a good win. I think we'll talk about them a bit later on in regards to the Graham Potter effect. I think we're starting to see that with Brighton, losing Potter. So with Brentford, I think they've just, that draw against Chelsea, valuable point, hugely valuable point. And then Bournemouth, I mean, they've surprised me since sacking of Parker. I think the loss to Southampton this morning, or yesterday, whenever it was quite. I think that's a pretty big loss for them, to be honest. I think that's going to be a loss that's really going to come back and maybe bite them a bit. You can't afford to be losing to Southampton at home. You just can't, because they're one of the lower teams in the comp. So a 6-pointer to lose it at home. So a little bit of a roller coaster for Bournemouth at the moment. 2-2 against Fulham, losing to Southampton. They're kind of gone a little bit of a plateau from their rise from the new manager. I agree. Brentford, I love Brentford. I think they're great.
They play football the right way, and I thought they were very impressive today. I thought against Chelsea, they were probably, you could argue, they were unlucky. And like Ben says here, spot on. Arsenal don't have a team of Ronaldo's, Messi's, Neymar's sitting at the top of the table. Pom said, star team is better than a team of stars. That's the same with Brentford as well. Like, they have built a side that is a good, honest side, works hard for each other. Playing a superstar team in Chelsea, they outwork them. They just outwork them. Yeah,
no, I think the signing of Ben Mee as well, solid centre back for what they want to do. Ivan Toney, I think he could he be a smoky for a World Cup position in the squad? I don't know, but you're right. They just get the job done. They just play a system, and I think the system will if you're doing it right, it'll outrank individual brilliance. That's for sure.
Hey, great job as well, Thomas Frank. He's like Michael says, the Dane FC, you could call Brentford, and they're doing the job. They are doing the job. But then we go to Brighton under a new coach. Their results this week: 2-0 loss to Brentford, shocking 0-0 on Wednesday versus Forest, and Chelsea, as we've covered, 0-0 with Brentford. But they did beat Villa. They put the dagger into it. But again, Chelsea, they just keep doing it, don't they? They just keep getting the job done. It wasn't a terrific performance, but they do look a lot more rigid.
Yeah, look, I think the Brighton, like we said before, that Potter effect of kind of, wearing off a bit. We even go back. They lost to Spurs, then they lost to Brentford, then the 0-0 with Forest at home is, that's crook. That is actually crook. And then you're seeing with Chelsea on the flip side, with the Graham Potter effect of being able to get the job done. Yes, they didn't get the job done against Brentford this morning. Stuck 2-0 into Villa. They're actually, it's quite bizarre, but they actually kind of under the radar a bit. Chelsea, I think, is that a good way to describe them? A little bit under the radar, where it's like, they sacked their manager, they're new manager in, we'll see how they go. But really, I think that I think that sitting fourth, are they under the radar a bit? I'm not sure.
I think they might be one of them boring teams that people forget about. People who talk about Chelsea, Spurs, United, Newcastle, outside chances for top four. I reckon the team that'll fuck all one of their chances up will be Chelsea. Because what I want to talk about is what Ben says here. Team of stars are not adjusted to the team dynamic. What you're seeing with Potter is he's getting them players. He's giving opportunities to players that haven't had that opportunity, particularly Conor Gallagher, Libbojrjr, who we saw at Southampton last year. He started in the last game. Mason Mount, we're going to talk about him a bit later. He's got that. He's getting that vibe, that team vibe. He's using the squad now. He hasn't got his favourites. He knows how to manage these egos.
He is. I've mentioned it many times. Those who watch this show, I've mentioned it many, many times. Potter, he is the next big thing. He's one of the best managers going around. I love what he does, and he's doing it with Chelsea. And you're right, they might eke out boring results. They might just do this and that. But you know what? No one's really going to care as long as they make the top four, or dare I say it, challenge for the title. Should it get to that stage? But he's class. Graham Potter's just class, and he's doing the business there,
mate. I think you've nailed it, and I think it's exciting. We want to, Yeah, it's nice to see an English coach. A lot of Chelsea, they do like to go with them superstar coaches. I think for the first time in a long time, they've gone with the right mindset of getting someone in who's a Premier League coach.
Great call. Great call. Yeah, hopefully.
And then we had the Palace. Palace, disappointing 0-0, but bounced back, beating Portugal FC and Wolves 2-1 on Wednesday. And Everton continue their losing run. That's what, 4 in a row now they've lost. Spurs and Newcastle showing their credentials of just winning them tight games. Both sides here, probably Palace enjoying life and pretty much home and hosed, you'd say already. Many thought they would be in a relegation battle, but Everton starting to slide to that wrong end of the table.
Yeah, look, I think Palace, they just do enough. And depends what side of the fence you want to sit on in that regard. I'm more of that's not good enough. I mean, how long have Crystal Palace been in the back in the Premier League for? Six seasons? I don't know. I'm just throwing a number. 6 seasons, let's say. Doing just enough to avoid relegation's not good enough. I mean, they should be fighting for a top 10, top 8. I love what they're doing. I love what Vieira is doing. I think that they've got a really good squad, but I'm not ready to sit here and start praising Crystal Palace just yet. I'll be like, yeah, cool. To me, I almost forget they're on. They're just an irrelevant team. I do. I just forget. I'm like, oh yeah, they beat Wolves 2-1. Great. Okay, cool. They're just.
They're a team that need a transfer window, don't they? It'd be interesting to
Yes.
see. You'd imagine if they get mid-table this year, and I'd imagine Vieira has aspirations like you keep talking about to be the best of the rest.
Yep.
At worst, he wants to be 6th and 5th, putting pressure on that top 4. They need a transfer window. It'd be interesting to see, should they finish 10th, do the owners back him?
They need to. They have to. Otherwise, what are you playing at? What are you going to do? You're just happy to survive, maybe go on a little bit of a cup run. Fans get pretty sick of that. So I think as good as, the Wolves 2-1 win is, we have to look at that 0-0 against Leicester. I mean, that's dog shit compared to what Leicester are doing. So Crystal Palace are really that, okay, show me something. Show me a little bit of leg, show me a little bit of, flirt with me a little bit, Crystal Palace, before I start, really getting into you. Now on to Everton. Well, I mean, doesn't have a happy ending, I don't think. It's just like Aston Villa. The writing's on the wall, whether it's this week, next week, 2 weeks, whenever it's going to be. The writing's on the wall. I just don't think it's sustainable what's going on on that football club, and for the size of what they should be, of what they are. Sorry, they shouldn't be where they are, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Everton. They're just, ugh, it hurts me, to be honest. They're just ugh. So I'm not too sure what's happened, but that's all good. We'll move on. But I agree with what Dom said. So yeah, Calvert-Lewin has to stay fit. Has to stay fit for Everton. Him getting injured at the start of the season was a massive issue. And I think it's caused them problems. But I think their problems go a little bit deeper than Calvert-Lewin simply being injured. I just don't think that's it goes deeper. But he's a very, very important player. And Dom, you're right with Crystal Palace. They do play good football. They're just not taking that next step. I think they just need to, as Pom mentioned, can they be the best of the rest? I'm not 100% sure. But they need to transfer into Zaha, plays through the middle. But the problem is, how much longer can they rely on Zaha? How much longer can they keep saying, Zaha's our man, or Zaha needs to, save us? At some point, you've got to step away from that. I think Eze is a really, really important player for them in that regards. Is that little bit of yin yang or so from Zaha. So hopefully, for them, they're able to get themselves out of that. So whilst we're obviously waiting for Pom to come back, we'll move on. I think we've spoken about Nottingham Forest a fair bit on this show. I've been very vocal about them. And to be honest, I think Forest, you may as well stamp it now. Minus goal difference. Goal difference of minus 16. You're probably going to put that in the book. They're done. I think they're going down. Something needs to change dramatically. Someone mentioned before. Michael, you mentioned before. Yeah, I'm here. I was just filling in for the great man before you got back, but that's all good.
Sorry, we had a power cut intermittently. The weather here out in Werribee, it's like something out of Twister.
Nah, all good. What I basically was just talking about Crystal Palace, and then I moved on to Forest and just saying that I think their papers are stamped. I reckon they're gone.
Mate, I mean, they're another team, aren't they? Forest, like they are in a world of hurt in the Championship now, and there's a lot of players on that list. I don't think that'll stick around.
Yeah, I mentioned it on last week's show. I feel like they're the type of team that if they go down, it could be very dangerous for them. Very dangerous. Michael mentioned before, it's up there now, another sacking soon, Everton. I think it's a race to the clock. Who's going to sack their manager first, Forest or Everton?
Yeah, you've got to look, if you're Forest and Everton, knowing Villa are going to probably be in this battle with you, do you bite the bullet now to get best available, or do you wait it out? Because let's just say Tuchel and Pochettino are interested in coming back to the Premier League. You could have a situation like United where they settle, Tottenham end up getting Conte, and before you know it, you're sacking a coach 3 weeks later, and the best guys available are no longer on the market.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. It's, as they say, it's a sackers market, as they say. You need to be in it to win it. What type of managers are going to be available? If I'm Villa, Everton, and Forest, I'm keeping my eye very firmly on Leicester and what happens with Brendan Rodgers, because he's a manager who probably will leave Leicester, but he'll walk into any job very quickly. So if I'm those three clubs, I'm probably getting in contact with Brendan Rodgers and saying, what's the likelihood? And if he gives an indication, yeah, I'm probably on my way out here, then I'd bite the bullet and I'd go for it. Because to me, I know he's technically not available because he's still in a job, but the best manager gettable at the moment is probably Brendan Rodgers, in my opinion.
Brendan Rodgers would be brilliant as well, because at least Forest have shown they'll spend money.
Correct.
Which is his issue at the moment, that Leicester won't spend the money, so he'll love writing checks.
He loves that. But yeah, I think, and to be honest, if I'm Rodgers, I'm probably looking at Nottingham Forest and saying, even if we do go down, if I've got owners that are going to spend, I don't mind spending a season in the Championship, spend diligently, get back up. It's almost like start a project. I think it's quite an appealing project in that regards. But
mate, I agree.
That wage bill is going to be quite tricky.
Mate, it's going to be an interesting one for Forest. But I mean, then we've got Fulham, Leeds, and Leicester. Fulham 3-0 and 2-2 with Bournemouth. Mitrovic again. Hated by this page, but loved by the masses. They keep going, don't they? They keep going.
They do. Fulham, they just, you keep expecting to drop off a little bit at some point. Very, very good for them to have that Sheffield-like season. The key for them is sustainability. They're obviously going to survive this season, but it's about sustainability, and start the sustainability now. Don't wait till the end of the season. Don't wait till start it now, saying, okay, cool, we're probably going to survive, more likely than not. How can we ensure that we don't have second-year blues? Put the plans in place now to what you're going to do next season to push forward. And I think brilliant. If they've got those plans in place, we could see Fulham in the Premier League for a fair while. You just have to be smart with how you do it.
Good situation as well, because they are in London. So, I mean, that is a big attraction for them. And to answer Dom, I think Aston Villa would be interested in Ange. I mean, I'd love him to fuck off out of Scotland, to be honest, because it would make us win the title. And it makes me like Ange again if he stops supporting that mob. But Leeds United, if I was Leeds, I don't think it's working with Yankee Doodle. And
Nah.
Leicester beat them 2-0, Arsenal 1-0. Do you know what I mean? Since that 5-2 against Leeds for Brentford, it looks off the walls for me. And if I was Leeds, and that's a big club. Celtic, I hate to say it, are a big club, but Leeds is the big one, isn't it? Like, if you can, that would be an attractive job.
And I think it's got a little bit of Australian history as well at Leeds, with Viduka, with Kulis. It's got a bit of that Australian history. So it's almost poetic, romantic, even if Ange were to leave Celtic and go and manage Leeds. I would love it because it puts Leeds back on the map and kind of just reminds Australians, actually, that's right. Leeds is a big club worldwide. And they are a massive club, and we need, and you mentioned it last week after we've absolutely murdered them, we need Leeds in the Premier League. You have to have Leeds in the Premier League. Unless they sack the Yank, I can't see them staying in the Premier League. They're just horrible. They are horrible.
Mate, I agree with Dom as well. I think Leeds are such a well-run club. They do genuinely stick with their coaches as well. I just think Jesse March is out of his depth, and
100%, 100%.
It looks bad. Like them games, it's not sustainable. Like, a good mate of mine's a Leeds fan. I said, as good as that second half was against Arsenal, there is no way in God's green earth you can play like that all the time. And they were running on empty. I was like, if you do that from the first whistle, you'll get run over 8-0.
100%, 100%. And you're right. He is out of his depth. And, so then we were saying Everton, Forest, Leicester, Leeds. Now that's 4 teams. I said before, there's be half a dozen teams who have their managers sacked by Christmas. We've just named 4. It's going to be a pretty sexy market for managers. And, I'm looking at Brendan Rodgers, I'm looking at Ange. There could be a job there. Jacob Burns, really good player. Could be opportunities. I'd love Ange in the Premier League. Imagine that.
Mate, I'd love him out of there. But you are forgetting the best Australian footballer ever to play the game in the legend Craig Moore. You find me a centre-back as tough and as clean as Craigie Moore, and tell you what, you're lying if you can find one.
A little off-topic funny story about Craig Moore. So when I was in secondary school in Australia, it was the Olympics. It was one of the Olympics. Must have been 2000. Must have been 2000 Olympics. And Australia had obviously had a soccer team in the Olympics, and I was doing a information report on soccer, and my teacher, who at the time was not a soccer fan at all, I said, no, you can't just do it on soccer. It's a stupid sport. You have to pick a person to do it on. And I remember being a centre-back myself. I'm like, okay, well, I better pick an Australian centre-back to do it on. I ended up picking Craig Moore. So I had this big information report project on Craig Moore. So sorry for anyone who I just bored to sleep. But Craig Moore does have I've got a bit of a soft spot for old Morey. Never forget the penalty he scored in the World Cup too. So
Hey, Craig Moore, Rangers legend, just so everyone knows. Absolute Rangers legend. I had his shirt as a kid.
Yeah,
so
I love that. Love that.
He was one of my favourite players because I thought it was just hilarious that an Australian played football. And I found it bizarre when he did interviews, he referred to it as soccer.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
It's very funny. Yeah. So one of my first pieces of schoolwork that I put effort in was about Craig Moore. So,
mate, Johnston, best Aussie ever. Really? Would you go? I mean, without changing tats, I would say that the best Australian I've ever seen is Harry Kewell. He was immense. He was world class on his day.
Injuries killed Kewell. What a topic! Look, as we digress, best Australian footballer ever. For me, Timmy Cahill, as far as on the Australian stage, like as far as for the representing the country. But if you talk about club level, Harry Kewell, he was just next level. He was next level, but he was
world class with his feet.
Injury just got him, unfortunately.
Well, talking about Harry Kewell, Liverpool was the next team
Mm.
and a huge win against title-chasing West Ham, and they beat Man City 1-0. And they beat Man City 1-0. So, I mean, obviously your side lost, but tell you what, after that City game, you must have had a little bit of squeaky bum time.
Mate, so when Liverpool got over the minnows in Man City, I said to you, I think they're going to embarrass West Ham. I had Liverpool 4-0. I thought they just seemed to start getting in their groove and whatever it is. And look, 1-0, to be fair, the 1-0 probably flattered West Ham a fair bit. But to be honest, it sounds defeatist, but I was happy with the 1-0 loss against Liverpool. And we'll talk about them a little bit later. Surprise, it might be coming up, but they just maybe seem to be waking up a little bit.
Well, I mean, Alisson got man of the match against your mob, and you did have some chances where you could have snuck a draw, but they are starting to grind the wins out there, which we've got to be consistent. If you grind wins, that's usually a good sign.
It's a very good sign. Very good sign. If you can grind some wins, that's for sure.
And talking about grinding wins, United, after probably one of the most boringest games I've ever watched, and I'm not often bored when my teams play, right? But United versus Newcastle might have been one of the worst things I've ever seen until the time I accidentally walked in on my mother-in-law have a shower. Absolute drab that was. But they came back, Fred and Bruno making Conte leave unhappy. It was a United as chalk and cheese at the moment, aren't they?
Look, that Newcastle game, I have got to be honest, I've changed my daughter's wet shits that were better than that game, right? That was fucking diabolical. And if anyone who's new to the sport ever wants to see what makes this sport so brilliant, is watch Manchester United against Newcastle, and then a few days later against Tottenham. You could not have picked two different sides. So you know what, Pom? I'm going to say it. I don't know. I can't put my finger on United because they looked like an absolute horrendous football team too. Could you challenge? Could you challenge? Because they murdered Spurs. And it's just, I don't know. It was bizarre. It's just been a bizarre week for United.
It's finding the pace and the movement against Spurs, which against a system which I think is impossible to beat in Conte's system. It's a very regimented system. Was bizarre when we played Newcastle. Exactly. It's very negative. It's ball retentive. And you've got to play quickly. Newcastle, I think, opened the game up a little bit. They give it a go. United look lost and were so slow. But against Spurs, they played quick, one-touch movement. It looked sexy. I agree with Corey here. That is something that United need to address now. We've been screaming for a number 6. I've been screaming for a CDM for 5 years. Now need a freaking Roy of the Rovers.
Yeah, and great comment, Corey. Welcome. He's good Gunners fan, Corey, and we like a bit of Corey action. He's been a bit missing lately, so I'm glad he's back. But
I agree with Corey as well. Liverpool, small club.
I love hearing that. Long may that continue. But yeah, United, that number 9, that consistent goal scorer who you can rely on week in, week out. But we speak about it time and time again. I keep mentioning about Arteta, and again, I'm going to praise Arsenal here. The project. It's got to be about the project. United aren't going to, be world beaters today or tomorrow. It needs to be Ten Hag's there. He's got his plan in place. Give him January, give him summer. Next season, Champions League. Maybe this season, Champions League, hopefully. Next season, challenge for the top 2. Season after, challenge for the title. That's the project. Where these big teams get caught out is trying to buy and fix their problems. Arsenal, beautiful. Doing that project, stick to the plan, stick to the project. Liverpool, kind of getting found out doing the other way, trying to buy players to plug positions rather than how can we have this longer term project.
Mate, I mean, I agree. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, he's put faith in Martial, the man that loves a snapped hammy. Some Juve options. I agree with that, Corey. I mean, there's worse out there, isn't there? I mean, I've got a feeling that, United will go Spanish. Do you know what I mean? I reckon they'll go into Spain. I've got a feeling. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to
What
be
about
interesting.
Scamacca? Scamacca, would you take him at United?
I'd take anyone who could hit the side of a barn door. That's not Rashford at the minute. But Newcastle, obviously, they had that draw with us. A workmanlike performance against Everton. And Almiron, do you know what I mean? He might look like an alien, but he's playing some good football.
Mate, Almiron looks like, I can't decide whether he looks like the smiley face meme or like the emoji, sorry, or Pac-Man. I'm kind of sold on Pac-Man. He looks a bit like that. I don't know. He's such a funny looking guy, but shit, he's playing good. He's playing some good football. Love his work. And you know what? Newcastle, they're just going about their business. Love Eddie Howe. I could not praise him enough. They're sitting sixth. They're the best of the rest. I speak about which team's going to become the best of the rest. It's clearly Newcastle, in my opinion, right now. And they're just going to continue ground out that 1-0 against Everton. And again, that's what the good teams do. Get that result, move on. They're sitting sixth. I can see them challenging for Champions League. I really can. If they have a big January, danger.
Mate, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I look at Newcastle and I think they are slowly building a really potent force, and they're doing it slowly, catch a monkey as well. They're not going out and spending billions.
Project, mate. Yeah, it's a project. And Corey, again, with absolute solid gold. I'll have to let Mitchie at work know that Corey's coming with the absolute gold here. But Newcastle, they are absolutely looking like, see, they got the coach. How do they go about it? And I think, I just think that they'll just continue, have a big January, go forward, and long may it continue for them. I mentioned last week that I think they're going to be the type of team that I'm going to get pretty sick of them very quickly, because their fans can be quite loud and very obnoxious, very Liverpool-like. Newcastle fans, us against the world type thing. So I think they're going to get quite annoying very quickly. But I do love seeing a new team or a different team up and about, and long may it continue, because I think they are definitely the best of the rest, and it's up to the likes of a Brighton, a West Ham, those types of teams to say, hey, hang on a minute, don't forget about us. We can be the best of the rest too. So yeah, Corey, I agree with you. I can't click on the comment because obviously the power outage happening over there. But must be the colours, yeah, of course. Black and white, it does make it very difficult to like any type of black and white team. And especially when they are the Magpies too. I mean, that hurts, so it does hurt to praise Newcastle. But look, I think to go on a bit more about them, they could have easily just gone out and spent 200, 300 million pound on players who aren't going to give their all, aren't going to do their best. But they're building a project. We spoke about Arsenal's project, speaking about United's project, and now Newcastle's project. And I think they're going to be a big force. And teams like Tottenham, probably need to be worried that Newcastle could easily overtake them as one of the bigger clubs in the Premier League, especially their location. So moving on, I think we've almost just about spoken about every team. Well, Man City. Man City is an interesting one. Horrendous loss against Liverpool at Anfield. I know saying losing to Liverpool at Anfield is not that big of a deal, not that big of a loss, but for the situation, especially with Arsenal so far ahead, it is a horrendous loss. Liverpool playing terribly, and I actually think that was the game that got them back into form. So 1-0 against Liverpool. Man City, they're going to have to, it's not a fait accompli that they're going to win the league. They're 4 points behind. They're going to have to pull their finger out. So, yeah, Corey, you're co-host now, so you can give me something to talk about, Corey. Throw something in there. I've spoken about every team. When Pommy gets back, we'll obviously go on to our predictions and stuff. If he gets back, I'll wait for a message. But so yeah, give us something to talk about. What about Ratton? Do you want to talk about Ratton, Corey? I know you're a mad Saints fan. That'd be I know it's a soccer show or a footy show, but I know you're a mad Saints fan. But so get the comments in. Yeah, Ben, Joffa does support Newcastle. So no good, and he's back. Thank God, mate. I was floundering a bit there.
Hey, do you know what I mean? It was an absolute nightmare. Sorry, but where are we now?
Well, no, we were just talking about Newcastle and their project. And Zachy Bell, mate, the headset's up and running. It's good to go. Gonna miss you tomorrow. Too bad I'll have to get the 6 for instead of you. So miss you, mate. And so we're just talking about Newcastle and their project and how I think that they've definitely got the mantle of the best of the rest.
Mate, I agree with you. And teams that really are in a fight for that last European spot, Spurs. The Spurs obviously going down to the United last night. A team that seemed to that result after beating Everton, they may start thinking that they've lost now to Arsenal and United in the space of 4 weeks, and the disappointing draw with Chelsea when no one knew what was going on with them. This could be maybe warning signs they can't break into that top 4.
I think that's a great point. I think that's a huge point with Tottenham. I liken them to Chelsea a little bit, where I say they're flying under the radar, but for the complete opposite reason. So I think Chelsea are flying under the radar as far as they're probably better than what we think they are. And I think Tottenham are flying under the radar as I don't think they're as good as what we think they are. I think that, they're sitting third. You say, they're only 4 points off the top, same amount of points as Man City. They're going. I can see them easily finishing 5th or 6th this year, easily. With the likes of Chelsea, United, and even Newcastle coming, Spurs are going to want to get some results, especially against the bigger teams, like you said.
Mate, couldn't agree more. And we finished with your team, Southampton and West Ham. Obviously, West Ham and Southampton played out that 1-1 game, and you lost that 1-0 to City. Starting to find a little bit, though, aren't they, the Hammers? Let's be honest.
Yeah, look, I think West Ham are starting to come into their own. That loss, that draw to Southampton was a kick in the guts. I would have taken a 1-0 against Liverpool if they had got the result against Southampton, but the 1-1, I mean, cheap goal early that was a deflection, and you can debate about the throw-ins and refs getting in the way, whatever. But Declan Rice getting on the score sheet is always good. Absolute ripper goal. West Ham did enough to win that game. They probably should have won that game. Very similar to the Notts Forest game early in the season. So the 1-1, you value, accept the point away from home. But I think the kick in the guts is losing to Liverpool yesterday morning, 1-0. If you could have got a draw there, then maybe you start thinking, okay, West Ham, a bit. I tell you now, Corey, I will bank my bottom dollar. Declan Rice will not be leaving in January. He will not leave in January, but he will go in the summer, but it won't be January.
Who do you think he'll go to?
Newcastle.
Ooh. That'd be a good deal, actually, for Newcastle.
Yeah, I think it'd be huge. He's who I want them to go to. If he's going to leave, I want him to go to Newcastle. But yeah, any of the top 6 that take him, he's the best. He's the best English footballer in the game. Let's be serious. Maybe that could be a topic. Tell me a better English player than Declan Rice in the game at the moment.
Probably the most consistent. I'll give you that. Aaron Ramsdale.
Well, is he going to play in the World Cup?
He should do, but I mean,
Yeah.
Southgate only picks his 11 based on who brings apples. Saka's a good shout.
It is a good shout. But I'm telling you now, there's only one man who should be captaining England to the World Cup, and his name is Declan Rice.
Yeah, and
he should be captaining England.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And it'll be Harry Kane or Harry Maguire. He's got a thing for Harry's, mate.
Yeah. But anyway, so West Ham, they're starting to find something. A big game against Bournemouth coming up next week that I think they're just got to get the job done to show what they're about. Southampton, good win against Bournemouth. I mean, I was ready to just bury them and say, no, they're cooked. But then they just come up with a sneaky 3 points against Bournemouth, rise up the table again. And it's just, they're a team who you don't think will get relegated. But again, just like talking about Palace, what are they playing at, Southampton? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? Because at the moment, you're a what, 12th to 17th team. Well done. Good on you.
They're a team that probably wants to cash in on Ward Prowse and try and go the next level from building on that sale. They look like a sell to buy club. And you would say that maybe that's the logical step, because what I'm watching of Ward-Prowse, I'm seeing a man that's depreciating in value every time he plays.
100%. They
get
should
rid
have
of him
sold him
now.
this summer. They should have
Yeah,
sold
I
him
mean,
this
get
summer.
rid of him, get the 50 million,
Mm.
move on.
And I think, again, Southampton, as what I said, that's the fifth team who I think will sack their manager before Christmas. Forest, Leicester, Everton, Leeds, Southampton. That's 5. Throw in Villa, who've just sacked theirs at 6. Half a dozen teams sacked their manager before Christmas. Southampton are well and truly in that. If they don't get some more results, I can see him going. He's been there for quite a while, and they're not improving. They're just staying the same.
They should bring in Harry Redknapp. That's a job. It's just down the road from where he lives in Bournemouth. Bring Harry back. I want Harry back out of retirement before the end of the year.
Old saggy chops. Love him.
My favourite. Bring Ratton in. Hey, could do worse, but we've left Wolves out for a reason, and Liverpool, because they are mentioned. So let's see what Fazz has got for us this week in Fazz Has Questions.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know?
Who we panning?
The Portuguese seconds I'm having a go at, or more commonly known as Wolverhampton Wanderers, or the Wolves. They I did give a little sneak hint last week that they would be my team in the gun this week. Ever since was it Nuno went to Spurs, they've just been on this downhill trajectory, and they're not coming back. I'm ready to lay my cards down. So they're going down, and they're not coming back. So to all you Wolves fans, to all any fans, get a look at that little emblem in that corner. Have a look at it. Nice look at it. You'll never see it again. They're finished as a club. They're a nothing football club in a nothing area with nothing players that are just they're manager after manager after manager. No, I don't have questions about them. This topic is a little bit misleading because there's no questions because it's answered. They're shit.
Well, you look at their run to the World Cup: Leicester, Brentford, Brighton, and Arsenal. It's a tough run to the World Cup, isn't it? And you could say they could be if they lose all 5 of them, they're effectively gone.
Well, they are. If they lose those games, they'll be bang on the bottom. They've sacked their manager, haven't they? They've already got a new manager.
Yeah, they're waiting to install a new one. They've got old Steve Davis.
Yeah. So they're a team that's already sacked. So that could be 7 teams that sacked their managers before Christmas. So he's one, but they are. I feel one of my good mates, Sam, who's in England, mad Wolves fan. I feel for him, but they're diabolical. Yeah.
Can I borrow a feeling? That's good work, that Rare. Good work. We like it. I mean, they're in a world.
Can I borrow a clean sheet?
That they are in a world of hurt. And like you say, I mean, they're a team as well. Like I can see you always get a team that panics in these build-ups. And they've still got some very good players playing their trade at Wolverhampton that I think players that big teams will want. Like we do know that United were heavily linked with their players. They were very linked with Neves. So you'd imagine that people will come in for him. Do you know what I mean? You've got Traore as well, who just can't seem to find that, but he is that type of player that if you were maybe above them, like Southampton, want a bit of an injection of pace, you sniff at.
Far be it from me, right, to kick a team when they're down, all right? But they are a team full of cherry on top players. They're a team full of luxury players. Let's be serious, okay? And no offense to any of people from Portugal or anything like that, but sorry, these Portuguese players are not going to fight hard in a relegation scrap. They are literally great players that are cherry on top luxury players. And you're right, lack of seniority at the club. They got rid of Connor Cody. They let Connor Cody go to Everton, who is an English centre-back. I'm sorry. When you're fighting relegation, you want at very worst, a UK centre-back, but at best, an English centre-back to help you get out it. And they had one and they got rid of him. I mean, it's there. Exactly what Ray said. Exactly what Ray said. Seniority at the club, and they got rid of him. And what are they rolling with now? Diego Costa. You think Diego Costa is going to dig deep? Is he going to dig deep and fight and scrap his way out of a relegation battle? Of course he's not. He'll fight and scrap his way to a fucking red card in a game they need it most.
Mate, I think you've nailed it. And don't mind Corey's idea here. CR7 is probably the seniority they need. But when you look at their back four that they've enjoyed this year, Maximilian Kilman, Semedo, Nathan Collins, and Bueno, like, if that is your back four, you might as well fucking camp for your tickets away to Wickham next year.
I have a rule, a general rule of thumb. All right. If you're in a relegation battle, your back four needs to have no more than 4 syllables per person. Mate, I'm dead set.
Yeah, I did watch them this week when they lost to Palace, and looking at their midfield reminded me of, you know, when you have got nothing to watch, so you end up watching the afternoon fixture in La Liga that has just got fucking 2 no-brand teams in La Liga who are mid-table.
Yeah.
Because their midfield, Bupakura, Traore, Ruben Neves, Danny Pondence, Nunes, and Traore is literally what a mid-table La Liga side rocks out with. That's like Real Betis in the 90s.
Mate, honestly, I'm getting hay fever just saying those names. Like, seriously. They're great. Like I said, they're good players. They're good, solid players. But in good teams, they're going to be some of the best players rolling around. You imagine Ruben Neves in a top 6 team. He'd be phenomenal. He'd be a phenomenal player. But you can't have all those players in a team. They've got no guys there who are going to get dirty, who are going to do the hard yards, who are going to bleed for this team and say, you know what, we're going to eke out a 1-0 win or a 0-0 draw. They don't have a single player on that. The lineup they went with against Nottingham Forest, yes, they won 1-0, so I'm probably contradicting myself, but they don't have a single player in that lineup that would, if I'm a Wolves fan, I'm like, oh yeah, he's our guy. He's the one who's going to make us, you know, get out of this rut. So I think they're gone. I honestly think they're gone.
Mate, I agree with you and Ray as well.
100%.
Too many people collecting a page. Like, that team there seems to be like, the fact they've got so many Portuguese is almost like it's mates rates. And now they've got rid of the coach that brought them in. And they have an obsession with going with Portugal. Like, no disrespect, but outside of what? Figo, Rui Costa, and CR7. Can you name a good Portuguese footballer? Do you know what I mean? Unless you go back to Eusebio, like, come on.
Nani? Was it Nani? Was he?
Well, he had a good celebration. I wouldn't say he was the brilliant footballer.
I only he's in my head because he's playing in the A-League at the moment. But yeah,
which says a lot about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Quill Queen's in chat. Good day to you. But I mean,
hello.
I agree with you, Fazz. They're in a fucking world of bother.
Gone.
Max gone. Well, let's have a look who's under pressure with me. We're doing it a bit different this week. I'm picking on players.
It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know?
I'm bullying a legend.
Oh.
bullying a legend this week.
Hang on a minute. Before you start, Pommy, take it from a man who's bullied many legends in my time. Are you sure you want to go down this path?
Yeah, fuck him.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, Ronaldo obviously stormed off this week in the win against Spurs. Ten Hag's come out and said that he will not be considered for the first team and he's training with the reserves. Bravo, Ten Hag, because it's about time someone does it. But what worries me about CR7 is last year he was a bit of a hero for United. We were struggling. He did his job, top scorer, and in the most part looked like he was working hard. This year, obviously, Ten Hag's come in. He wants to go a different way. And I really fear for this guy that he's about to destroy what is a wonderful legacy because The rumours were no one wanted to take his contract. He was very open, United were, that he wasn't in their plans. And evidently he was happy to stay unless his contract wasn't met, which would allude that he was going to be well aware he wasn't going to be first 11. To storm out on the boys, I think ruins all of last year's hard work from him, where it sounded like he wanted to help the team. He wanted Harry Maguire removed as captain. There was all these rumours. And right now, for me, I wish United have the balls and close his contract off, because he seems now he is a 39-year-old, 40-year-old man who is collecting a ridiculous amount of money and doesn't want to leave.
Mate, I couldn't agree more, mate. This bloke has seriously a bigger ego and a bigger head than that first pint from a keg. Like, he just... I couldn't believe it when I read it. But then in the same weird way, I actually did believe it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe it, but then I wasn't shocked. I think, in my opinion, there's no having been a captain of a soccer club for many years, current captain of my cricket team for many years. I think there's no greater disgrace that you can possibly do than walk out on your mates and walk out on your boys, on your team, your girls, whoever it is, whatever team you're in. No greater disgrace. How you can rock up to training the next day and look your teammates in the eye, regardless of who you are, after walking out on them in a game, that is just sickening. And I tell you now, and whoever, I know if Zachy Bell is listening to this, because he's on my cricket team, if any one of my players was to ever walk out mid-game on me, they would never, ever see the cricket field again in my team, ever. And
mate,
I'm telling you now.
With you. Mate, I'm with you. And you know what annoys me? And I agree with Ray here. Do you know what I mean? There's been a lot about his humility. He's plugged it himself. This isn't the first time he did it. People forget against Brentford, he refused to applaud the away section, right?
Yep.
And this isn't the... I've got a horrible feeling that the happy memories of Ronaldo last year weren't because he wanted to win games for United. It was because he wanted to be the Roy of the Rovers. He wanted to be the hero. He was doing that purely for himself, scoring them late goals because he could say he was the man. And now that's been taken away from him. I'm seeing a child. And this is a guy that in my mid-teens, I remember him coming over, this wispy-haired superstar, seeing him be lightweight and get battered and doing all sorts of tricks I didn't know possible at Old Trafford, to seeing him now as a guy that is literally treating this football club as a legacy builder. And this is, I think now we're seeing the real Ronaldo. We're seeing the monster it's created. It's not the first time he's done it, like I said, against Brentford, to walk out on your team when they've won as well. And that was purely because he didn't get the minutes. Do you know what I mean? Everything he said last season about sticking together, bounding, the real United, he had pot shots at youngsters saying they get too much too soon. I had to work for it. We're now seeing the real Ronaldo, and that is, if I'm not part of it, I don't fucking care. And honestly, if Ten Hag somehow hears this, mate, ban him from fucking the reserves. I won't want him near the under fucking 18s. Like, just tell this twat, piss off to his stupid little poxy wife and his poxy kids and his shithouse fucking food dietary requirements. Fuck off to your mansion. We'll see you January when we fucking give you to Sporting Lisbon on a loan or something. Disgrace.
I'm with you. I couldn't agree more. And I think, there's no denying his talent and what he's done for the game. But we're seeing a guy now who's literally been given everything and everything. It never had to really want for much. And now something's been taken away. And this shows his true personality. But I think, forget talking about him. The real story for me is Ten Hag. What a man. It takes a very big person to banish the greatest player in our era away from the club. And I reckon you could name 100 other managers who wouldn't have had the balls to do that. And he did it. So I think the real story here, let's talk about the positive. Ten Hag, mate, he's got cojones of absolute fucking size.
Mate, Mate,
bloody
we've seen as
watermelons.
well. We've seen the other coaches. They bow down to these Mickey Mouse footballers. But
They do. You see it all the time.
What hurts me about Ronaldo is he comes from the Fergie era. He talks about Fergie being a father. He talks about Roy Keane. He talks about Scholes, the leaders of the football club. This is an opportunity for Ronaldo now to be the Roy Keane, to be like, you know what? I'm not playing, but I'm going to give back to this football club and leave a legend. Do you know what I mean? Leave a legend. And I think here, he's not only pissing on the legacy, the fact the fans sing his name when he's not playing because they love him, the fact he's not willing to stick it out with them young kids shows he doesn't give a fuck about Fergie. He doesn't give a fuck about the fans. He doesn't give a fuck about anyone but himself. And you know what? It's actually ruined Ronaldo for me because I really did think he loved Fergie so much that, yes, he might be disappointed he's not playing, but you know what? He's going to take that Ferguson legacy with him and he's going to fucking be the teammate and work them. And fuck him off.
No, I'm with you. And he has. He's the legacy he wanted to, or he cares so much about. He's effectively shat on and spat on. And you know what? The less we talk about him, probably the better. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, fuck you, Ronaldo, you melt. Yeah. You know what I mean, piss off to Wolves. All right, there we are. Pom's buried a legend. No longer.
I love it. Yeah, close your DMs. Heads up. Just close your DMs. Take it from me.
Can't wait for other United fans to be like, how dare you say that about Ronaldo? He scored a goal when I was 7 and it was my first one. I can't wait for that. Let's see, though. What's cheered Fazz up?
It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know?
Oh, no. We've slated Ronaldo. And look what you're doing to me, Fazz.
The minute you said, or the second you said, let's see what's cheered Fazz up, I just want it on the record here. Not one moment of what I'm about to say has cheered me up in any way. All right. So let's just put that on the table. Every word that's about to come out of my mouth has not cheered me up. If anything, it's making me more of a miserable fuck than what I already am. And that is the fact that I think Liverpool are starting to find something. I really do. I'm starting to see a little bit more of the Klopp Liverpool that we know, that willingness and want to really fight out results. That win against West Ham, dare I say it was a very good win by them. West Ham were coming, they came. Milner with a great save off the line. Alisson Becker getting man of the match. They're grinding out results. Enormous win against Man City. I think that they're starting to just have a little bit of a late run for the top 4. They're not going to challenge, but a little bit of a late run for the top 4 and good on them. But I would like to say it doesn't cheer me up. I fucking hate it. But you know what? Credit where credit's due. We're starting to see a little bit more of the Liverpool we know.
Mate, and you look at their fixtures as well. It's probably a really good World Cup for them. You look at their fixtures coming up. They've got Notts Forest tomorrow, Leeds at home, Spurs away, Southampton at home. Then it's the World Cup break. If they can win, which you presume they win a minimum of 4, 5 minimum, 5 would be the max, and that would be the dream. If they can win 5 of them, they, like you say, they go in, have that international 6-week break in a really good headspace, really good environment to come back, which looks poles apart from if we were talking last week about them.
Yeah, and I think what we were talking about last week, maybe put a couple of things in perspective that I probably went pretty harsh on them, but they've only lost 2 games. So what we were talking about Liverpool, they're not the Liverpool we know, they're not doing this, they're not banging the goals on, but they still only lost 2 games, which means they were still in games. So they're 4 wins, 4 draws. They were still in those games. So maybe it wasn't as bad as what it seemed for them. I don't know. But the fact that I looked at them, they've only lost 2 games. They've got a goal difference of +10, which is equal 3rd in the league. They're just starting to come good. And I hate it. I hate it.
Mate, I agree with you. I mean, we talked about at the start of the show, top teams like Arsenal who win titles, win 1-0. Win 1-0. Win games.
And Liverpool,
starting to grind it.
Yeah, they've
starting to grind it. Do you know what I mean? Michael never forgets as well. You know what I mean?
Mate, I cannot escape it. I cannot. Far out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Poor Fazz. Poor Fazz. But I
I'm
mean,
not
I
getting
agree. Yeah,
not getting
Liverpool
into it again.
finding something. And you know what? We talked about top four sides that could fuck top four. You look at their run home. They could be a side that maybe a week ago sides were thinking, oh, like Spurs. Oh, we've got Liverpool. Great time to have them before the World Cup. Now
Yeah.
may just be starting to question. And I'd say a lot of these teams, Liverpool have got your Leedses, your Spurs, your Southamptons that need points for either top four or safety, may have had a question mark of they're beatable. Just now, they may be starting to think, oh, this could be a tough one.
And they're going to be breathing down these teams' necks, and you don't want to have Liverpool, close behind you because you know what Klopp can do and you know what this team can do. So it's a very exciting time for that little bracket, that maybe third to seventh mark.
You don't want to be close to Liverpool as well because you know someone's getting robbed. So, I mean, but
All right.
look, does anyone else think Liverpool, when you've watched them this week, they look like they need a game like they had against Rangers in the Champions League and the Premier League?
Yes.
They need a game that is that a team folds and they put 4 or 5 past them, and I feel like they'll get their mojo back very quickly.
No, I agree. As soon as that result happened, you just think, was that the circuit breaker? Was that the circuit breaker that they needed to get back to their best? And who knows? It could have been it.
Let's hope not. Let's hope you're wrong. But let's see who I'm in love with, because I don't often give love to this team, and I'm looking forward to it. What have I done there? There we are.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know?
Well, I mean, I'm giving love today to one boy that since Potter has come in, probably was on many people's England World Cup 50-50 to play in the World Cup. But his form of late has been spectacular, and that's none other than the legend that is Mason Mount. He has been, I think, really impressive since Mr. Potter's come in, particularly the goals we've seen. He's been banging them in this year, and he's really enjoying that freedom that Potter's giving him, playing him just behind the front man. A lot of ball coming into him. He had them 2 goals the other week. But he's really getting involved as well. Do you know what I mean? You're starting to see his massive increase in pass output, averaging 33 passes. The tackling's improved. He's starting to take people on as well. It's the equal per game one-on-ones attained. He's starting to see that Mason Mount that 3 or 4 years ago people were getting really excited about. Potter's brought that good time back to Mason, and I think he's one to watch, particularly over the next 3 weeks as that England selection comes in. He might be just putting his name down to say that, you know what, I'm ready.
I like him, as I call him, Declan Rice's mate. Young Mace, he just has it, and when you talk about players and say, how do you describe him? And I say with him, he has it. And that, what I mean by that is the ability to win a game off his own boot, the ability to, when it's backs up against the wall, he'll pull out a goal out his ass. He just has so many attributes that are so important for Chelsea, and I believe so important for England. And I'm so glad for him, because I do believe, like you said, the last maybe season or so, Tuchel's probably stifled him a bit, really maybe, suffocated his creativity and what he can actually do. And I think he is going to, if this form continues, he's going to be a big player for the England for sure.
Mate, I agree with you. And I think he's got like you say, that game breaking ability, hasn't he? And when you watch, particularly Southgate's England, a lot of the ball, they control the game. Sometimes you just want them to break the game. And he is a guy, I think, if I'm Harry Kane, love him behind me, and I'd love Saka to my right. I'd love Grealish to my left. And I just feel like between them three, they can make something happen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think that point of difference. So you think when England go to the World Cup, what's that point of difference they can have? And he is that one. He is that player that you think, you're looking at a bloke who could make the team of the tournament for sure.
He's definitely. I feel in the form as well. It gives me a. I'm showing my age here, but it gives me a Gaza 1990 vibe. That the form is, or the Euros 96, particularly the Gaza, where Gaza lit that, where just the club form peaks at the right moment where he can become a hero. And I just feel gets a couple of games going. I reckon if he has another game like he did the other week, I reckon it'd be mental for Southgate because Grealish isn't setting the world alight and he likes Grealish. This could be the time for Mason to say, you know what, start me game one.
I'm with you. And one of the biggest traps that we've seen England managers fall into in the past, many tournaments, World Cups, Euros, is not picking informed players, picking players because of their name, picking players because of their club. And you've just got to pick informed players. You just have to.
Mate, I'm with you. Mason Mount, look out for him. I reckon he might be a smoky for your FPL. But let's go and have a look. We've got a big week of fixtures ahead. Let's have a look what's going on.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you want to feel how it feels? Do you want to know?
Well, you've big Liverpool up. Liverpool start the week on my birthday. That game will finish as well. I'm on the 23rd, but it is tomorrow. Forest, Liverpool. Who are we going with?
A cricket score. Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Ready?
Funny if we lost.
Yeah, I'm going for it. Double digits. 10-0.
Is this going to be the game?
This is the one. They are horrible.
I can't see for the life of me Forest getting anything of this. I think this will be Liverpool. I'm going to go 5-0.
All right, 5-0. Yep, I love it.
but then we stick to Merseyside. We go just across the road from them to Goodison. Everton host Palace. This is an intriguing one, isn't it? Because both sides need the win. Who are you going here?
Look, intriguing wouldn't have been the word I would have used to describe this game. Can COVID come back before this game? Palace 1-0.
I think this. I think because I've bigged it up 0-0.
Yeah.
I've
got it written down 0-0 as well, but I'm just like, fuck, Palace 1-0.
It's an intriguing time, but then we've got City. Obviously wounded. They've had that extra 3-day break. City versus Brighton. I think this is an exciting game to watch purely on the back. Brighton's new coach is very attacking, very aggressive. Do you reckon they'll play that way? And if it is, that could spell disaster.
Yeah, look, I think I mentioned it before off the top that Brighton kind of seem to be falling away a little bit. So I can see City bouncing back. I'm going to give it a 3-0 to City, but I don't think it's going to be a dominant 3-0, if that makes sense.
Do we think as well, a lot of interesting moments in the press in the UK, Danny Mills saying that Haaland's been found out against a good centre-back. He's not as good as people thought he was. He's scored goals against part-time centre-backs. Do we think Haaland's maybe going to come out firing? That's why I think it's going to be 5-0, and I think Haaland's going to have a field day.
I'm with you. I've got 3-0 with a Haaland hat-trick.
Hey, I'm with you. I agree, Damo, as well. You've got to take the game to them. But as we've seen, if you take the game to them with no respect, it can be game over. Do you know what I mean? And I imagine they're going to be fired up because Pep looked like he was going to knock someone out when they lost to Liverpool, bless him.
He did.
And then we got my team. Chelsea play United. We go down to Stamford Bridge in a game here that really could open up the top four aspirations for United should they win.
Yeah, look, to me, I'm not ready to trust United after the Newcastle game and then the Tottenham game. What I am excited about United is what we said with Ten Hag showing his balls of steel. I've got United down 3-1 to win this 3-1 because I just think this decision to do what they did with Ronaldo is literally going to be the one that that makes them. I think when United win their title in 2-3 years' time, whatever it is, you'll go back to this moment, and this will be what makes them. And I think they'll win 3-1.
Mate, I agree. No, I agree, Amy, as well. They need to lay off Haaland. The guy's a superstar. But I think United are going to respond. I think it's going to be another 2-0. I think we'll get the clean sheet. Anthony Brace. I haven't seen that sexy little Brazilian cut back inside for a while. I reckon we're going to see the best of Anthony. And I've just got a feeling, like you say, I think that might be the statement where United's players, particularly his favourites, your Casemiros and your Anthonys of this world, are like, you know what? This is my coach. This is my leader. And really galvanise for him and say, let's put on a show for him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's why I feel like the players would have got that little bit of a pick-me-up, or even more that just, okay, shit, this bloke's legit. If they didn't think it already, this bloke's legit.
Oh, you'd shit yourself if you watch Ronaldo training with the under-19s, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you're like, oh, fuck. I better do that extra lap. But yeah, and then we go to managerless Villa. They entertain Brentford. Will the caretaker coach upset the wonderful run of Brentford?
No, I don't think they will. I've got Brentford down 2-0. I like what they're doing. They've got the system in place. They know what they're doing. Villa will obviously get a little bit of a perk, a little bit of pick-me-up with a new manager, but I can't see him getting anything from this game.
Yeah, we do know that it seems to every so often, doesn't it, when we do have that little interim head coach, they have a absolute quality afternoon. Aaron Danks has taken the role, which is interesting because Danks was one of the few Villa coaches that was retained by Gerrard. So obviously knows these players very, very well. But no, I'm with you. I think Brentford will get the job done 2-0 and they'll continue their wonderful run. Then we've got this game here, right? I used intriguing. This has got goals written all over it. I am going to tell you now, this is probably the exciting game because both of these teams don't give a shit about defending. They think it's AFL. So Leeds, Fulham.
Yeah, this game is tasty. I've got it. Ready? Fulham winning 4-3.
Ooh, I like that. I've got this as a 2-2. I can see
tasty.
I can see Mitrovic doing the business. Last minute equaliser.
I'm thinking if you're scoring any less than 3 goals against Leeds, then you're no good. So that's why I got 4-3. Their defense is terrible.
Mate, it's going to be both of them teams like to give it a go. But then we've got Arsenal, Michael and Amy's team in chat hosting going away to my wife's team, Southampton at St. Mary's. It shouldn't be called they need to bring it back and call it the Den. That was the good days. But what have you got here?
Job done. Arsenal 3-0.
Yeah, I can't see. We should call it. We should call it Saint the Dell, but we'll go with Southampton 1, Arsenal 4. I think Arsenal will put on a bit of a show. Then we've got Fazz's second favourite side, Wolves, against Leicester. Potentially, this game might not even have a shot between them.
Mate, I was a bit harsh on you earlier about 3 minutes ago, and I take it back when I criticised your comments in the Everton Palace game. That Everton Palace game looks like a World Cup match compared to this Wolves Leicester. In fact, Everton Palace, I am up and about for that game. Wolves Leicester, they can get fucked, both of them. No, I don't care. I'm not even tipping. I'm not even going to give you a score. I don't care. -1 to -1. They are shit.
I reckon Daka 1-0 lead.
I got nil. I've got
Leicester
0-0.
And then this is probably the tie on paper that could be the announcement that Newcastle are a bona fide top 6, top 4 side away to Spurs in good form.
Monster
Can
game.
Newcastle get the job done?
Monster game for Newcastle. I really want to see Newcastle do the job here. I've got Spurs 1-0. I'm thinking a real Conte performance, 1-0, but I'm still excited to see what Newcastle can produce. This is their chance to really stamp their foot down. If they can get a draw out of this, I'm saying, yeah, they're legit. If they get a win, I'm shitting myself. But I think Spurs 1-0.
Mate, I've got Newcastle here 1-0. I'm doing it.
I love it.
Doing
I
it.
love
They
it.
announce themselves as a bona fide best of the rest and put a bit of pressure on that top 4. I think they'll get it done. But then we finish with your team against Bournemouth. It's kind of like where everyone in East London will go on holiday to Bournemouth. That is a fact. So they entertain them. What have you got here, Fazz?
Look, if West Ham are legit, which I think they are, 3-0 West Ham. West Ham tend to do things in multiples. If we score 1, we tend to score 2 or 3. So as far as if we score them early, so I think 3-0 West Ham. I think it'll be a tough game. I don't think it's going to be anything fancy, but just a casual 3-0 for an early birthday present for me.
Mate, I love it. I think it's going to be a 2-0. I think it's going to be a 2-0. I think West Ham will get the job done, and David Moyes will have that statue getting erected for his another season and another well done. But that is it for this week. Sorry we went a bit over. Thanks to lightning. I was in and out more than, fitty for the night. But thank you very much to Fazz for ploughing through. Much love to everyone. We'll be back next week, and then it's nearly time for the World Cup.
Oh, don't the World Cup. I'm getting very excited for the World Cup. No, very good. Thank you so much. Awesome. And hope your team wins, unless it's Bournemouth.
Mate, I share it, and fuck Chelsea. But we'll see you next week, and hopefully we're both happy.
Love you. Bye.